to Fl'awesome Blossom. I am your host, Cassiopeia Fleur de la Coeur Flores, but please do call me Kiki. All right, I'd love to give a very warm welcome to my wildflowers and a bonjour to my best buds. Thank you so much for your support and for joining us here and being part of our Fl'awesome community. If you don't know what I'm talking about, why don't you check us out over at Fl'AwesomeBlossom.com. Come check out the blog. Come check out the extra little spicy bits for those of you who are interested in becoming a member. Today is another gorgeous day in the valley where I live, and everything is turning lush and green. It is reminding me of the lush and green and just the absolute stunning beauty that are the Hawaiian Islands. My husband and I were lucky enough to cruise to the Hawaiian Islands 6 months ago, and it was a wonderful experience. I love cruising. I really do. It is one of the most relaxing ways to get from point A to point B, and you can be as busy as you want and you can be as relaxed as you want. On this particular cruise, we had 5 days at sea where we went to lectures on the Polynesian culture, and I played the ukulele every single day. It was fantastic. And I loved that I was able to learn about the history of Hawaii before I got there. And it was a lovely way to learn, very relaxing and very enjoyable. And I'm going to try and tell you a little bit of the history because it's fascinating and I don't think a lot of people know. I think a lot of people just imagine Hawaii from the first contact with the Europeans, so from that 1776 time onwards. But of course, Hawaii has existed as a landmass for a long time, longer before than the European contact. So let's find out a little bit about it. First of all, let's just talk a tiny bit about Hawaii. Hawaii is as beautiful as it is brutal. Yeah, that's right. I said that because it is 50-50 of, lush forest and grassy areas and lava deserts. Seriously. It has multiple rocky, craggy coastlines that are protected with coral reef that is just waiting to cut the ignorant and the ill-prepared. Ships and people, the atolls and the islands of Hawaii do not discriminate. You must be bold to live in this beautiful place. And that is true of the people of Hawaii. And they are also incredibly kind and generous people because their environment lent that to be so. It is a type of environment where you need to work together as people to thrive in an area like that. And so it's no wonder that the Hawaiian Islands are full of aloha spirit. And aloha is not just a casual word that means hello and goodbye. It is not the equivalent of ciao in Italian or tschüss in German. It's not that casual. It's much more of a reverent word. It would be more akin to namaste. And if you need a pop culture reference, I will give you the movie Avatar, right? There's a scene in this movie where the scientist guy is trying to teach the new Marine soldier dude, the jarhead guy, the language of the blue people, okay? And he's trying to tell them about a greeting that the blue people use. And the greeting loosely translates as I see you, but it is not my eyeballs have perceived something in front of me, they've inverted that image, thrown it to the back of my brain has reverted the image into the proper place, and now my brain knows that there's a person in front of me. It's not I see you, it's not a reaction to my visual cortex. No, it's I see you, Kiki. I see the human in you because I am a human. And I know our lives would be better if we worked together as opposed to working opposite. And so it's a real recognition of I acknowledge that you are another human being and I'm going to treat you in the way that I would like to be treated in this situation. It's just the way it is, right? It's a lot of mutual respect for life. All right. But where did the people of Hawaii come from? The people of Polynesia were always believed to be from Taiwan. And it kind of makes sense. If you think about the Pacific Ocean, if you think about where Taiwan is, it kind of makes sense that they would maybe be in boats and come down and be in areas like New Zealand and Samoa and the Kingdom of Tonga. And the French Polynesia. That makes sense. But where Hawaii is the very, very top of that Polynesian triangle in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And please imagine the vastness of this ocean. It is the largest body of water on the planet. I want you to think of the California coast where that is, and now imagine going on a boat from there to Japan. It's enormous. The Pacific Ocean is absolutely enormous. And Hawaii is in this pretty remote area. In fact, its contact with the Europeans came 10 years after Tahiti already made contact. Right? Wow. Okay. About 15 or 20 years ago, it was really confirmed that the people of Hawaii are real descendants from Taiwan. And it was starting to blow people away. And do you know how they came to this conclusion? It was through 23andMe. Yeah, the Ancestry.com, those places where you send your DNA into when you go swabbity swab, 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 put it in the envelope, send it away. Well, they tell you what your ancestry is, right? What's your makeup? So it's 23andMe and Taiwan. Holy cow. Who knew? So all of this was starting to buzz around, like people in Samoa, people in the Hawaiian Islands and in New Zealand, they were sending off for these DNA kits, and it was coming back that they were from Asia, but not just Asia, like specifically in this particular area of Taiwan. And so word gets around, historians, anthropologists, and people in the literature world, they all got a hold of this idea, or this story, and they went knocking on Taiwan's door. And they were like, hello, Taiwan. Hi, can you go back in your way backs, way back in the ancient times there, and see if there's a story in your oral history? Is there maybe some poem, like a saga, a story, maybe a song, maybe an interpretive dance that might explain how people from Taiwan got to Hawaii? And Taiwan's like, we'll get back to you. We'll check it out. And guess what? They found a story. They found a couple of different versions of the story. So that's how they know it's like an oral tradition. Things are changed, right? There's two different stories to Cassiopeia, right? One, Medusa turns her to stone, right? She gets caught in the eyes and makes eye contact with Medusa and turns to stone. And then Poseidon throws her in the sky because he feels sorry for her. There's the other version where she doesn't turn to stone, and Poseidon's pissed about this because she didn't get punished for her vanity, and he throws her into the sky, right? Two different versions. So there's a couple of different versions of this, but the basic premise is, P.S. this is happening in and around the same time that Cassiopeia is ruling Ethiopia. So that's how far back we're talking, okay? So we're talking thousands of years before Christ, thousands of years BC, okay? And there's this area that is now Taiwan, and there's war. It's all happening. It's terrible. It's going on for generations and generations. And, it's because we're humans. What do we fight over? We fight over resources, power, which is kind of the perception of resources, I would say. And we fight over hurt feelings, right? We fight over being butthurt over something and then not resolving it. Not communicating effectively to resolve it. And in some cases, people don't even want to resolve it. They just want to be right. So they just go in and they mow them over. Like, I'm right. So the war was happening for generations in Taiwan. And in the story, they don't actually name the person. It's not like, it's Bob, but he has a chieftain kind of name. Like he has like a command, like some sort of military title. And so we're going to call him Kong for fun, because that's a Taiwanese name. And it kind of reminds me of Star Trek. Kong! And this guy, he's a bold leader, and he's sick of war. And I feel like, that guy in Star Trek, he claimed that he was sick of war. He just wanted to go off with his people and live in peace. And this is what this Kong guy, he wanted to go off and live in peace with his entourage. And he had 27 clans on his side. So I'm not really sure how big a clan is, but I can imagine it's like multi-generational families, right? So let's, for math's sake, say that every clan can consist of approximately 30 people, right? Because we're talking ancient times. Like, are we really living past 45 here? I'm not really sure based on nutrition and everything else. But anyway, certainly not with war as a component. Anyway, so this guy Kong, he's like, you know what? I've got 27 clans. So let's just imagine 27 times 30 people. We've built these boats and we are leaving because we don't like war. We're no longer participating in this and we are leaving. So they get in their boats and they leave. So now just imagine the vastness again of the Pacific Ocean. Imagine where Taiwan is and all these boats are leaving, and then they're probably trying to stick together because that's what I would do. You want to keep your resources close together. And I'm sure some of these boats have people in it, and some of them have like flora and fauna and supplies that they would imagine that they would need for this impossible journey to they don't even know where, right? It's not like they're saying, oh, we're going to go to this island we know of. They don't even know. They're just leaving and hoping to find better place. So they leave, and I bet weather happens, right? Storms, maybe sea beasts, pirates. Like, you have no idea what's happening way back in the ancient times. And these boats get scattered. But where Taiwan is, where New Zealand, Samoa, and all that, you can imagine that that's like an easy transition down. Now, well, not easy. I wouldn't say easy. But it is a more logical area where these boats might have gone, and then these people are settled there, right? But we specifically know that a group of people landed in the French Polynesia, in the islands of Tahiti, and they settled there, and their population grew. And I don't know if you're familiar with the islands of Tahiti, but they're not that big. So when you say populations grow, sometimes, people fight. What are we fighting over? Power, resources, and butt-hurt feelings, right? So war starts to happen. And again, happening for a long time, possibly a generation or two. And now there's this guy, maybe a direct descendant from Kong, who has left Taiwan all those hundreds of years ago, right? So now we're creeping up in our timeline, and we're getting close to maybe like a AD situation in our timeline. And there's a fellow named Kanoa. This is a Tahitian name, and it means free one. I chose it. It's not part of the story. I've forgotten the name. If there was a name, I'm not really sure. I can't remember. I might have ADHD'd out. So let's use Kanoa. It's a nice Tahitian name, and it means free one. Let's pretend he's the direct descendant of Kong. And he's saying, you know what? War. What's it good for? Absolutely nothing. So he says, this is bullshit. I don't want to be here. And he has an entourage. He has a number of followers. And they're all with him. They're like, yes, Kanoa, lead us into a different place. We need to leave this war-torn area. This is awful. We don't want to be here anymore. So they built boats. They provided supplies. And they effed off to new lands. And 4.5 months later, they found the Hawaiian Islands. And we know this because there's a song from back in the Hawaiian culture, like way back in their oral traditions. There is a song about a journey from Tahiti to Hawaii. And because it's not that far, it's only 4.5, 5 months, that once they got into the Hawaiian Islands and they settled, they sent people back to Tahiti. Maybe people missed their families. Maybe they were like, well, it's not that far. We need more supplies. Who knows? Maybe they were trying to convince more people to come. But basically, Hawaii and Tahiti have always known. They have always known that they're cousins, and they call each other cousins, just like that. So Kanoa has settled on Hawaii and the population grows. So Hawaii was established in and around the year 1000. And then we're going to fast forward a couple of 100 years. And guess what happens? Can any guesses? The Hawaiian Islands are populated, right? They're all spreading out. They're getting more and more people in these small areas. And what do we think happens? Have we heard this song before? We have. And how does it go? It goes something like this. War. Huh. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Huh. Oh my gosh, you can't even imagine. I have really enjoyed doing that, all those times. Yes, that's true. Each time I did that, I enjoyed it a little bit more. I hope you did too. All right, so now, let's imagine we're somewhere in, I don't know, let's pick the 1400s, and there's a lot of war going on in the Hawaiian Islands, and now we have a guy named Konala. That's not his name in the story. Again, I've forgotten this guy's name, but I'm picking this particular name because it means world ruler. And what happened was, he was a chief. This particular chief got his butt kicked, and he was mad about it. And he is leaving with his remnants of his entourage, of his people. And he basically said, you know what? I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back, and I am going to bring with me the best war boat ever and warriors. And I'm going to come back, and I'm going to reclaim this. And then he was never heard from again. And there's a story about it. And so I imagine, this young Hawaiian boy, he's going up the mountain to collect some coffee beans. Let's just name him Keanu. And now it's late 1770s, right? And Keanu's going up the hill, and maybe he's humming this song because there's a festival kind of about this god that is supposed to be coming back. And it kind of coincides with this Konala story about this chieftain who's going to maybe come back. And so the Hawaiians believe that gods could inhabit people, right? Maybe not that people are reincarnated exactly, but that a god could inhabit a person and be someone from the past for a little while. So maybe Keanu's going up the hill and he's singing this song about Konala and this festival that's coming up, and about this god Lolo that's supposed to be coming back. And then he looks out over the ocean and he sees Captain James Cook in his 100-foot fuck-off English sailboat, which was originally designed for coal transport. So just imagine the size of this 100-foot vessel. And Captain James Cook is coming in towards the island of Hawaii. And young Keanu must be thinking, holy crap, it's that god Lolo. Oh my God. Oh my Lolo. And just to make matters worse, / confirm that people are thinking it is this returned god, Captain Cook, who has just left Tahiti in a great big hurry, although the Hawaiians don't know that. The Hawaiians don't know that James Cook was almost murdered by the Tahitians, right? He's just left Tahiti. He was almost murdered on their way out. And he's coming now 4.5 months later, after escaping with his life. He's coming with this vessel towards Hawaii, and he sees similar people, similar huts, similar canoes coming out to his boat. And he thinks, okay, I better nip this one in the bud. And what does he do? He deploys 2 cannon shots into the side of the mountain. The Hawaiians are now convinced he's a god. Of course he is. He has just shot fire into their land from the sea, right? Who else but a god could do that? And they've never seen nails before. What the heck? No, they have not. Because the Hawaiians live off of the land. They live in a sustainable culture. They live in a sustainable world. They live from the ocean and from the bounty of the land as well. And the land doesn't really give them a lot. There's no natural fruits and veg that grow there. Everything that's brought there has been brought there. So they were surviving on a root that was native there, taro root, and the bounty of the sea and some of the greenery that was there, right? Some of the foliage that they could eat. And so here comes this vessel with nails. None of their boats were double stories, right? They were canoes and a catamaran. So this must have been just like absolutely mind-blowing to them. And they did treat Captain Cook like a god, much to the dismay of Captain Cook's crew, because they just went through that in Tahiti and it didn't go well, and they were almost all killed. In fact, a couple of the British soldiers were killed, and so were the Tahitians. And they're doing almost a 2.0 when they get to Hawaii. So at the beginning, things seem to be okay. The chief at the time is treating Captain Cook like they're not really sure if he's a god. They think he is because of circumstances. So they're being extra cautious, right? And they're treating him very well. Trade's going okay. But then the trade balance is completely off. And it's because the Europeans were just giving the Hawaiians things that they should not have been. And I am definitely talking about measles, chickenpox, gonorrhea, and syphilis. What? Yeah. And do you know who might have had syphilis? Do you know who probably had syphilis? Captain Cook. Why do I say that? Because one of the symptoms of untreated syphilis, and it's the 1770s, okay? Penicillin is not available, all right? Many sailors had gonorrhea and syphilis. Many prostitutes had gonorrhea and syphilis, which is why this is being passed around. And also hygiene, not as important in the 1770s. No one's given their undercarriage a bit of howdy-do before playtime. Like, it's just not happening. So these STDs were rampant, and the sailors had them the most. And Captain Cook, his behavior started to tank. His demeanor started to become more aggressive, more mean, more sadistic as the voyage had gone on. And this is actually a symptom of untreated syphilis. It is a bacterial infection that will make its way to your brain, and it will eat your brain. And the symptoms of this are very much like dementia with a side of violence. So this was very likely happening to Captain Cook because decisions were being made that were irrational and punitive beyond measure to his crew, which were on the brink of mutiny. So they leave Tahiti in this crazy rush. They get to Hawaii. Things are pretty good until it's not. Until Hawaiian people are dying. A lot of them are dying from measles and smallpox. People are now getting gonorrhea and syphilis. And they don't even know it. The Hawaiians don't even know it. But that syphilis would have lasted generations and generations and generations and would have affected their rates of fertility, their mortality rates. Unbelievable. That's a retrospect look. But anyway, that happened. So what ends up happening here is they're there for about a year, and then things are going bad, and Captain Cook is like, okay, I better leave. I better get out of here while I still can. And they do. These two boats that they brought in, they're leaving. And then weather happens. It's a storm, and one of the masts breaks. So James Cook has to come back. And the Hawaiians are like, damn it, we knew it. This proves you're not a god. Because if you were a god, you would have sailed away and you would not have come back. Like you're here too long, right? That was the other thing. They'd overstayed their welcome. This festival that they were holding for this god that was supposed to return, like that festival doesn't last a whole year. And yet this god, this guy who claimed, oh yeah, I'm Lolo, like he was there for almost a whole year. So they leave, and now they come back, and they're coming back limping, right? Their vessel is coming back limping, and also other British soldiers have died. There's been a couple of kerfuffles, and when they come back, their kerfuffles start again, and it's bad. Things are bad. Hawaiians are dying, British soldiers are dying, and somebody steals a boat. Somebody steals a tender off of one of their great big 100-foot boats. One of the Hawaiian warriors steal this boat, and Captain Cook goes apeshit. He doesn't cut his losses and go like, you know what, we don't need that boat. We just need to get the F out of here with our supplies and like our boats as best as we can. No, he now takes this as a personal affront that one of the tenders, it's not the giant 100-foot boat. No, it's the little boats that bring you from that giant boat into the shore. One of those little rowboats has been stolen by Hawaiian warriors. And instead of saying, you know what, we should at least leave you that because we've given you so much disease, Captain Cook insists that needs it back, and he has the audacity to lay hands on the chief. He actually grabs the chief, and this is a no-no. You're not allowed to touch the chief. That is taboo. And in Hawaiian culture, taboo means death, right? So Captain Cook grabs the chief, all the warriors flip out, and there's a kerfuffle, and Captain Cook is murdered on the beach. And this relieves a lot of his crew because half his crew were locked in the brig. Well, probably not anymore because they needed the crew to actually sail the boat. But the point is, at this point, at the time of his death, he was not missed. His crew was like, fine. And the Hawaiians kept his bones. And now there's like this weird monument to him at this one particular beach. I went to that and it was very, very weird. You could only go to that beach, that particular section of the beach, if you were a British citizen. So that is the story of Hawaii. And I also need to tell you this really funny part. Captain Cook gifted the chief at the time a couple of cows and a bull and a couple of chickens and a rooster. And the chief immediately was in awe of these animals, and he put a taboo on these animals, which means, yes, you could eat the eggs from the chickens, but you could not kill the actual chickens, and you couldn't kill the actual bulls. And nobody corrected him. Nobody said, oh, hey, chief, like, that's probably not how that should work. Like, you should allow that because, otherwise the population of these animals is going to go out of control. But nobody told him that, and everyone takes the rules very seriously, so nobody kills chickens and nobody kills the cows. Now, fast forward, this was 1776, and now fast forward about 50 years, not even, and the population of the cows and the chickens are out of control on the islands of Hawaii, and they write to England. In the, kind of early 1800s, King Kamehameha writes to England and says, oh, hello, we seem to have a problem with cows. You gifted these to us, and we're just not really sure how to manage them. Could you help us, please? And Britain's like, sorry, we're at war with Napoleon. Try the Portuguese. And so King Kamehameha is like, oh, okay. Dear Portugal, we have cows. You have cowboys? ? And Portugal's like, don't you worry, Hawaii, we got you. Because right after Captain Cook, his expedition, when the remainder of his expedition left, there was a trade agreement that had developed between Britain and Hawaii, and shortly thereafter the Portuguese had arrived. So King Kamehameha at this point, in the 1800s, there's already a relationship between Hawaii and Portugal. And this is where we get the ukulele from, right? The ukulele is fashioned after a Portuguese instrument. And so Portugal says, don't you worry, Hawaii, we got you, but you're going to have to give us a little more land. We need to establish our cowboys there. We need to have a lot of land to look after these cows. So you're just going to have to give that to us. And we will help you with your cow problem, but you're going to let us live there. And I mean, what's King Kamehameha going to do? He's like, yeah, I need some help. Like, P.S., take care of the chickens too. And so the Portuguese made a huge establishment into the islands of Hawaii, which is, we can see their legacy through family names there. So I like that story too. I thought it was really cute. Dear Portugal, we have cows. I love to imagine these diplomatic letters, right? Like, you have to write this letter, but you can't write it like that. You have to use all the flowery language and manipulate people, blah, blah, blah. Because you can't just say, what the F do we do with all these cows? What about these chickens? We've been enjoying the eggs, but... Oh my gosh. Anyway, Hawaii, what a gorgeous place. While we were there, we went to a luau, and we were leaving Waikiki on this bus to take us way out in the way out. And as we were going along the highway, I remember seeing a huge white building, and in massive letters, it appeared to me to be graffitied across this building. In massive letters across this building, it said, if we have nothing in common, there will be no common sense. And I gotta tell you, my curious crocuses, I haven't been able to stop thinking about that. It's been percolating in my mind over and over and over again, and it's a huge catalyst for this podcast. I'm trying to give us some common ground here. And I'm going to start with some of our stories to remind us of our commonality. I'm going to adopt a little bit more Aloha spirit, and I'm going to send that out. And next time, we're going to be talking about something that I think everyone wants to know about, but maybe we've been conditioned to ignore, and that's our own bodies. All right, so next time we're going to get into the absolute beautiful love story of the human body. We're going to talk about some things that are absolutely awesome and a couple of things that are pretty flawsome. All right, so until then, I hope that you are out there living your best life and living your life full of Fl'awesome Blossom. I will see you next time.